Hello, I'm Brandon Martini, a commercial pilot and flight instructor.
And I'm Carson Vasquez. I'm a private pilot.
And you're listening to the Aviation Mentors Podcast, sponsored by Stratus Financial.
So buckle up, because the Aviation Mentors are taking off.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another amazing episode of the Aviation Mentors Podcast. We've got another special guest here live at the Industry Expo for the Latino Pilots Association. It's actually our third one we've done today, and I'm really excited to talk about one of our amazing flight school partners, and that's Academy of Aviation. They've been partners with Stratus for well over a year now, and it's been an integral flight school that we've worked with for a long time. So today we have Aaron Hollowell. He's the Director of Business Development over at Academy of Aviation, and thank you so much for joining over here today.
Yeah, definitely glad to be a part, and glad to be a part here of LPA.
Yeah, it's a fantastic organization. They've treated us really, really well here. President came around and shook our hands, and other members of the organization came by and said hello. So I really do appreciate them allowing us to be here as well. But I wanted to kind of talk to Aaron about Academy of Aviation and what they do and what makes them kind of stand out in this industry. So first off, I know AOA has got a ton of locations. I visited one of them in Peachtree, Georgia, just a few months ago, I think in June, when my son was at space camp. And it was a great location to visit. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see him there. I think that's where you're from, right? You're from Georgia?
Well, not originally, but that's where my office is in Georgia. But yeah, we do have campuses, two currently in New York, one in White Plains, one in Farmingdale, and we'll be opening soon in Islip as well in New York. We have our Charlotte campus, which is based in Gastonia, North Carolina, and we have our Atlanta campus in Peachtree City, Georgia, and opening next month in just a few short weeks, our Orlando campus in Kissimmee. So we're excited about that as well.
Well, that's fantastic. I love seeing growth, and especially with good people that you stick around. So I know Carson's normally my co-host, and he unfortunately couldn't be out here this weekend. But I'm going to ask the same question he always asks, and what got you into aviation, and when did you become an aviator? Because I know you said you're a single-engine land pilot, you've got your instrument rating, and for a private pilot, you have 1,600 hours. So it's either you fly a lot or you've flown for quite a while. So what got you into aviation?
Well, I think aviation's one of those things you're kind of born into sometimes. My dad was also a private pilot, and when I was a baby, I was in a Cessna from the time I could squalor. So yes, I've been in it a long time. I got my rating, private pilot. Didn't know quite sure what I wanted to do in the industry. Just knew I wanted to be part of aviation. Thought about being an airline pilot, but just didn't have the passion to be traveling and gone quite that much. But have a passion for spreading what aviation is and know what aviation does. So I was glad to be part of a flight school, large flight school in Georgia, and then came on with Academy of Aviation a few years ago and have really grown that industry and that part of the business tremendously there. And most of my hours are in a 162 Cessna Skycatcher, bebopping around the southeast of the U.S. and definitely east of the Rocky Mountains, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've got about 3 or 5 hours, something minimal in a Skycatcher and or a bug smasher, whatever you want to call it. I think they call them nowadays. But they're a lot of fun. Do you fly a Skycatcher still?
Yeah, I actually own a Skycatcher, so that's my kind of plane of choice and go-to. For me, aviation's a little bit more about fun and less about transportation, so it gets great views and a great opportunity to kind of see the landscape.
Absolutely. That's why my airplane that I own goes like 85 knots, which is my Icon A5. So I totally get that. You get to fly a little lower. You don't have to fly at 18,000 feet to have a good view. You can be at a mile up at 5,000 and still be fantastic. So what are your goals in aviation? Are there any like bucket list airplanes you want to fly at some point in your lifetime, or what are some of the goals for your flight school as well?
Well, let's start with Academy of Aviation. Our goal is to just kind of be a leader in the industry and kind of offer a unique opportunity for all those interested in flight training to kind of see and experience flight training. We're a partner with a lot of different finance companies so that we can offer the financing necessary for people to achieve their dream of flight training. I think that's one of the biggest challenges in the industry right now is a lot of people have the desire and the passion. It's definitely a passion industry, but how do you make that passion a reality? And finances are usually the biggest component of that. So we continue to grow. We're not an in-the-box kind of thinking flight school. We don't have a cookie cutter program that everybody has to kind of stick to. We're kind of committed to making sure everyone's flight experience is exactly what they want it to be and making a great experience for all of our students across the nation. And that's kind of our goal, is to kind of grow and have that experience trickle down to all those who are interested.
Well, that's fantastic, and I know since you have the financing partners, we're one of your premier partners, Stratus is, and we're lucky enough to be able to fund some of your students. So for the students that are currently going there and listening, thank you so much for choosing us as that option. It's been fantastic to help you. But back to my original question: are there any bucket list airplanes that you want to fly that you were like, oh, I gotta fly that? Is it the 747? Is it the it was the Albatross for me until I got that type rating. What is the airplane that you want to fly?
I think it has to be an air tractor. I've grown up in farm country, so watching those crop dusters burn the top of barns off has been always kind of one of those things I'd like to try. Don't know if I'm quite crazy enough to venture into that yet, but yeah, that would be something that I'd want to check off at one point.
Do you have your tailwheel endorsement?
Not yet, but that needs to get on the list, that's for sure.
I think you're going to need one of those. I own a Cessna 120 in California. So when you're out there, if you want a tailwheel endorsement, let's go fly around for the weekend and we'll make it happen. I mean, it's not very hard. We just got to practice a little bit.
Yeah, just got to make sur the prop stays in the front. So we should be okay if we do that.
Yeah, as long as you don't chunk off a front half of it by pushing the nose over a little too far. But no, it'd be a lot of fun. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited that Stratus is a partner with Academy of Aviation, and almost all your locations, I believe we can finance in all the states. So thank you again for that wonderful partnership. We're looking forward to a great and fantastic partnership, even moving further forward. But as always, if anybody wants to reach out to you, where can they find you and your flight school?
The best place to go is, of course, the internet. Flyaoa.com is probably the best spot to go. You can visit us on social media or just reach out to me directly at Aaron, that's aaron at aoa.edu.
Oh, Andy's got the EDU email. That's fantastic. Those are not easy to come by the way. I've checked. So that just shows you what a high class, amazing organization they are. So, well, thank you again, Aaron, for being on with me today. It was fantastic to see you again. I know we've met several other times this year at other expos, and we're probably going to run into each other a couple more times. We were talking about it earlier, especially after I asked you for that list of all the other ones that I happen to be missing out. So, thanks again for that. As always, if you'd like to reach out to me, it's Brandon at aviationmentors.com. If you'd like to reach out to Carson, it's Carson at aviationmentors.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll talk soon. Have a great one.